The Lily and McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be. I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lily and McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, today, I am excited that we have Dr. Bradley Nelson. He is co-author, and I say co-author because God co-authored this with him, of the emotion code. And we did an emotion code workshop in Cocoa Beach, Florida in January of 2022. But now we're going to do the body code. It's the sequel, the follow-up of the emotion code in Cocoa Beach, July 23rd, 24th, 2022. And we are going to learn even more about how our body speaks to us in different ways. And Dr. Bradley Nelson gives us the tools to be able to do that as well. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Bradley Nelson is back to do just that. Thank you so much, Dr. Brad, for coming on to the classroom today.
Thank you, Lily. It's really great to be here. Great to see you. Great to be able to share this information that's so powerful.
It is powerful. And I was sharing with you off the air how I'm looking forward to our conversation today for more than one reason. Of course, we want all of you to come join us on July 23rd and 24th in Cocoa Beach, Florida. And if you're interested, go ahead and we'll have the link provided so you can click on and register for this beautiful event where you can empower yourself and learn more. Not only am I excited about that, but I'm also excited about some of the ways that I've used the emotion code in my life and how a recent diagnosis, I would like to use it to help promote wellness for myself. So Dr. Nelson, or Dr. Brad, which I know that I go back and forth, but you are a good friend, and share a little bit about what led you to be inspired to do the emotion code and what brought you to the body code after that.
Well, I spent about 20 years in practice in one form or another, and as a holistic chiropractic physician. And so I had people coming in to see me with all kinds of things, typical complaints like back pain, neck pain, carpal tunnel, knee pain, things like that. But then as time went on, I saw more and more difficult kinds of situations where people were suffering from named diseases. And during the last 10 years of my practice, most of the people that I saw had been told that they were never going to get well, that their problem was incurable, and so on. And so what I had learned early on was that it's possible to tap into the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind within each one of us is this internal computer. Now, I was a computer programmer starting back in about 1980. And so during the 80s, I was programming people's computers. I had a business called The Computer Tutor. And then I finally went to chiropractic school. And I can remember sitting there and listening to my instructors say things like, the brain is the most amazing computer that we know of. We may never be able to duplicate it, with computers and machinery and things. And I remember thinking, if the brain is really a computer, will we ever be able to program it or tap into it and get information about what's really wrong with a person? Because, that's where all the good information should be, right? Well, it turns out that's exactly where the good information actually is within the subconscious mind of each individual. So when we tap into that, we're able to get information about what is really going on, and it's amazing how well it works. So to give you an idea here, let me share a slide.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's just share screen here. Here we go. And I'm going to share this slide really quick. So what I found during those years that I was in practice, working with all of these people of all ages with all kinds of problems, was that this idea that, and is probably the most ancient idea that exists in the healing world, is that health is maintained or regained by either maintaining or by regaining a state of balance in the body. And so in other words, we suffer from imbalances, and those imbalances then result in symptoms and illness and so on. And what I found, because I was a computer programmer before, I always had a computer with me in my office, in my treatment rooms, and I was always kind of working on cataloging and kind of organizing things as I was finding imbalances on people. And eventually what I figured out is that there are really 6 different kinds of imbalances that we all suffer from that cause all of our physical and mental and emotional problems and sicknesses and diseases. So one of these areas is what we call energies. Now, the body itself is an energy field. And so it doesn't feel like an energy field. I mean, if you squeeze your hand, it feels nice and thick. And if you slap it down on a desk, it makes a nice thunk sound. But if you were to magnify your hand a million times, it wouldn't look like your hand anymore. You might be looking at an individual atom. And if you look inside the atom, you see there's really nothing in there. It's just empty space and some little infinitesimally tiny energies that are zipping around at the speed of light. And that's actually what we are. And that atom that you're looking at, by the way, has a lot of distance between it and the next atom. And so, in fact, some quantum physicists recently made some calculations. They figured out that if you could remove all the empty space inside of everybody on Earth, you could fit all 7.8 billion people in the world into a little box the size of a sugar cube.
Wow.
Right? And it would be crowded, but you could do it theoretically. So these bodies then that we're living in are really not what we had thought. I mean, the reality that we're used to when we think of our bodies as being solid and so on, well, they are, but they're not. In other words, these bodies of ours are really more of a projection than anything else. And if you talk to anybody who understands quantum physics, they'll tell you that that's true. In fact, it was the great quantum physicist Richard Feynman who said, if you don't think that quantum physics is weird, then you don't understand quantum physics, because it is weird. It's very different. So anyway, our bodies are energy. Well, sometimes we accumulate energies that are from the environment that inhabit our bodies, that cause trouble for us. One of those is trapped emotions. When we experience emotional events, sometimes the energy of the emotion gets stuck in the body. And so, maybe we have back pain, or maybe we have some kind of a symptom from that 20 or 30 or 40 years down the road. And it's from something that maybe we've forgotten about. Sometimes another kind of energy is from a physical blow that we might take. And sometimes that kind of energy can get stuck in the body as well. So with the body code, we look at the body for what it really truly is, an energy field. And we find imbalances that exist in that energy field. And so this first category has to do primarily with things like trapped emotions and traumas and things like that. The next category is what we call circuits or systems. And this one has to do with the systems of the body, the cardiovascular system, the nervous system, the muscular system, the skeletal system, and so on. You can have imbalances in those systems, Maybe there's something going on in the endocrine system for you, and maybe that's why things aren't working well in your body, or maybe your immune system is down. And so the idea here is that with the body code, we find those imbalances and then we fix those imbalances, and then the body is able to regain its health or maintain its health, one or the other. One of the other things that we see in this particular category is disconnections that might happen between the spirit and the physical body. And so we really all have this dual nature in this world. We have a physical body that we're used to, but then we have a spirit body, or going back thousands of years, it's been called the chi, the ki, the prana, you name it. I think of it as the spirit within us. And that's really, I believe, who we are. If you go to a funeral and you look at that person lying there in the casket that you used to know, and now they're dead, there's obviously a major change that's happened. And that spirit that used to inhabit their body is no longer inhabiting their body, and so their body's dead. And it's a really interesting thing. Back in 1905, there was a doctor. I can't remember his name now, but he was trying to figure out a way to determine and detect the presence of the human energy field, the human spirit, really. And so he had this theory that maybe when you die, your body might lose a certain amount of weight if the spirit is there and it has a certain amount of weight. Well, guess what? They did this study. They got these people who were really close to death. And what they would do is when the person was getting close to dying, they would bring them in and they would put them onto this very, very accurate scale, extremely accurate scale. And then they waited to see what would happen. And when these people died, they found that on average, they lost about 21 grams of weight. And so the determination was that, hey, maybe that's the weight of the human spirit. The body, when a person dies, it loses weight right away. That's kind of weird. What's really going on? Well, anyway, so in this particular category, we find disconnections that occur between that spirit part of us and the physical part of the body. And sometimes the spirit and the physical body can become disconnected in some ways. And so it's something that you'll only see in the body code, but it can be really powerful. Another category is toxins. Of course, we're all toxic to one degree or another, just because of the world that we live in. It was much less toxic for our great-grandparents than it is for us. And so you can find toxins in the body, you can remove those toxins, and that can help you to maintain and regain your health. Of course, another kind of pathogen that we're all really familiar with now is, or another category is pathogens. And these are things like viruses and bacteria, fungal infections, mold infections, parasites, things like that. And we have ways of working with them using the body code as well. And I'll probably explain a little bit more about that one later when we start to work on you. Mm-hmm. And then we have misalignments. And of course, because the body is a physical thing, if you have a tissue that's misaligned somewhere, maybe you slipped and fell, or maybe you hit your head on something and now you've got a bone or some tissue that's misaligned, function follows structure, and so sometimes things need to be realigned. And then the last category here is what we call nutrition or lifestyle. And so if you have a deficiency of a certain vitamin or mineral, that will show up here. Or if you need a certain herb, or if you need an essential oil, or you need more sleep, or you're dehydrated, or whatever, those all show up in that area. So that's really what the body code looks like. Now, if we look at it in an actual browser, it looks like this. And the way that it works is there are these 6 main categories, but then attached to each one of these are a whole bunch of other levels. And so, for example, if we click on toxin, we find different kinds of toxins. And if we click on biological poison, we find that, well, there's 3 kinds. There's poisonous plants, there's microbial poisons, or poisons that microbes give off in the body, or there's venoms. And so venoms might be. And if you click on any one of these, you're taken down another level where you have an explanation. And it tells all about, in this case, what venoms are and where they might come from. And then you learn about how to decode that by asking questions of the subconscious mind. And then find out anything that might be associated to that. And then you have the last step, which is intention, which is where you actually address that thing energetically. And I'll explain all that more as we go. But basically, if you click on any one of these 6 categories, you're going to be taken deeper into deeper areas. And then there's always an explanation. There's always a decoding step and an association step and an intention step. So this is what you're seeing here is really, it's energy medicine made simple. It's the simplest form of energy healing that I think exists in the whole world. It's patented, it's unique, and very effective. And, there are a lot of doctors and scientists over the years who have said things like the future of healing is going to be energy healing. Well, that's what this is. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is the future, I believe, of energy healing. That's amazing. Yeah. So to give you some examples of how this works, there was I remember, here's a great example. There was a woman that came into my office years ago who thought she was...
And while you're talking, can I go ahead and put you on the main screen so that people can see you? Yeah. Because now, so if you want to go ahead and sign off, there you go. There we go. There you are. Okay. Sure. That's great. So go ahead and share about the woman that came to your office.
Yeah. So this woman comes in to see me. She's been hospitalized for 5 days with this really severe pain in her abdomen. And so they ran every test known to man in the hospital. They did everything that they could for her. And they finally sent her home because they couldn't, none of the tests were positive. Everything was negative. So they thought, well, we can't help you. You have to go. So her pain on a 0 to 10 scale was about a 9. Mm. So she comes into my office and tells me this whole history, and she's still really in pain. And so I got out the body code and started asking questions of her subconscious mind and getting answers. And so I cleared some trapped emotions and found a couple of other things. And one of the things that I found as I was working on her is I was taken by her subconscious mind. And what we do is we ask questions through muscle testing or dowsing or pendulum or whatever. And the subconscious mind will give its answers about what it needs. And it's an amazing thing. And this whole concept is going to really change the whole world. Because everybody knows with a perfect understanding really what it is that they need. Mm-hmm. So I was letting her subconscious mind guide me. We cleared a few things. And then her subconscious took me to the nutrition area and to nutrients and to this chart of all of these nutrients. So just really quickly, I'll show you what this chart looks like.
Okay.
So we were taken, her subconscious mind took us into nutrition and lifestyle and into nutrition and into nutrients. And then you'll notice that we have this chart. And with the chart, we can ask the subconscious mind, what it actually needs. And so I was taken to column A, row 2, to chromium, which you see right there. Mm-hmm. And we used to carry chromium in my office, and we didn't have any at the time. So I said, well, listen, I think you need chromium. I said, we don't really have any, but it's something you should probably, you should think about adding to your diet. I just thought of it as kind of an inconsequential, sort of a peripheral thing, that her subconscious mind was letting me know, hey, I could use some chromium too. So I didn't think much about it. So I finished up the session with her, and she was still in pain. I wasn't able to reduce the pain at all. So the next day she comes in. She's my first patient the next morning. Mm-hmm. And she's actually at like a 9.5 now in pain. So the pain's getting worse. And I didn't know what else to do. I remember thinking, she's in so much pain. They must have missed something in the hospital. They ran all the tests. They were negative, but she's really in a bad way here. So I didn't know what else to do. Mm-hmm. So I broke out the body code chart and I started asking questions. And out of all the thousands of possibilities that her subconscious mind could have taken me to, it took me, of all things, to this same exact page. And it took me right to chromium again.
Again.
And it was only then that I remembered, oh, wait, hey, that showed up yesterday. And I said, you know what? I think your subconscious mind is trying to tell us you really need chromium. I said, I want you to leave my office right now. Go down the street to the health food store, buy some chromium tablets, and ask them for some water and take some right there. Don't wait. So 20 minutes later, this young woman, she's very athletic, probably about, I think she's about 21 or 22. She's literally jumping up and down in my waiting room. And she's saying, I'm fixed. I'm fixed. She was so excited. She said that the instant that she took the chromium, the pain was gone.
Wow.
And she said, how did that work? And I said, well, I really don't know. But I said, your subconscious mind knew that that's what you needed. And so, so that's, luckily we were asking the questions and getting the answers, and your subconscious mind was able to tell us that's what you needed. And so, and that worked, and the pain never did come back.
Wow.
So that gives you a little bit of an example into how the body code works. We ask questions, we get answers, and you never know what might show up. You just never know. But what we're finding is that that it's truly these imbalances in these categories that are the underlying causes of our sicknesses and diseases. So yeah, so
I'm curious, what is chromium? I mean, why would anybody need chromium in their body? What is that deficiency about? Do you know?
Well, if you think about it, chromium, like most of these other minerals, is used in chemical reactions. Okay, it's used to create hormones and different kinds of proteins and things in the body, and I knew that chromium was really useful for blood sugar, especially to help maintain blood sugar. If chromium gets way off, then you can end up having blood sugar issues. That's, I guess, why I thought it was kind of an incidental finding.
Yes.
I thought, oh yeah, chromium, well, that's about blood sugar. Well, that's, probably doesn't have anything to do with her pain here. So I just kind of chalked it up to an incidental thing. But sure enough, that's what she needed.
Amazing.
So pain is the body's number one way of telling us that there's something wrong. It's like a check engine light in your car. And, but it's not just that. I mean, any kind of symptom that a person has, whether it's mental or emotional or physical, I mean, it could be self-sabotage, it could be not finding your soulmate, it could be being broke all the time. Those are all symptoms of other imbalances. And so, so what I believe is that those symptoms aren't really the problem for most people. Those symptoms are just the check engine light saying that, hey, you need to address something. Here's an issue for you. So there are so many amazing stories. Let me share with you another one that you maybe haven't heard, or I don't know. But anyway, there was a woman that came in to see me. I used to work a lot with fibromyalgia patients and help them to get well. And fibromyalgia, of course, is where you've got pain all over the body, and it's unknown origin and incurable, supposedly, in Western medicine and so on. Anyway, this woman came in and I helped her, and her fibromyalgia disappeared. So not long after that, she sent her husband in to see me. And he was very reluctant, but he finally came in. So here's the story with this guy. This guy was a truck driver, pretty young guy, like 35 or so, his wife too, they had a couple of little girls. He's a truck driver. One day, about 4 years before he came in to see me, he's driving his truck down the highway, and he starts getting this pain in his groin, and his scrotum swells up really big and becomes excruciatingly painful, and it doesn't go away. And so he goes on disability. He can't work, he can't do anything, can't drive his truck, he can barely walk. And so doctors are giving him all these different medications, and no one really in the Western medical community has any idea what's wrong with this guy. So for 2 years, he's like this, total disability. Finally, 2 years in, they have surgery scheduled. So they do this surgery on him, they open him up, they can't see anything abnormal, so they close them up again, and then it all swells up again. So I finally meet him 4 years into this, right? And he's just kind of hopeless and just disillusioned and really depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I tested him using the body code, and it took me to pathogens and to parasites. And this was in like the first 30 seconds after meeting this guy, or after starting to, examine him and find out what was going on. And so I said, hey, I'm getting that your subconscious mind is telling me that you've got a parasite. At least it's indicating that. I said, now listen, at this time, this guy was traveling. He was kind of like a medical anomaly. He was going up and down the coast. He had doctors, specialists that he was seeing monthly at Scripps La Jolla Medical Center down in San Diego. And he was also seeing this other team of medical professionals at UCLA Medical Center, right in Los Angeles. So every month he's driving down to San Diego, back to LA, and they're shaking their heads, and nobody can figure it out. 4 years in, still just like a mystery. And so within 30 seconds, his subconscious mind is telling me, hey, this is my problem. I've got parasites. And I said, has anybody told you that you might have a parasite? And he said, no, nobody had mentioned that word to him in 4 years. And I said, well, I think that's what you've got going on. So I had some different supplements we used to use, herbal preparations for parasites. And I tested to see which one he needed, and I recommended one for him. And his wife told me later that he didn't want to take it because he didn't believe it. He didn't believe that it would help him, and he thought I was kind of a crackpot. And he was seeing all these doctors at these multi-million-dollar medical centers, and they weren't giving him any answers. So he believed, and they believed, and they had probably told him that nobody else was going to be able to figure it out if they couldn't, right? So that's kind of where he was at. Well, his wife insisted. She made him take the supplements, and about, I don't know, I think it was 5 or 6 days later, he came back into my office, and he told me that within a few days, it just was gone. It just dried right up, and the swelling was completely gone. And he was, I think, probably the happiest, most excited guy
I can imagine.
That I've ever met. He was just so jazzed and so excited because, he was just living in all this pain and agony for 4 years, and all of a sudden it's gone, and it never came back. So, think about it. Do you have a parasite living in your body? Or maybe you've got something else going on. We know all about these viruses now. You might have mold. Here's another story. My my former executive assistant, she now is, she transitioned in her company to being one of our full-time staff practitioners, and that's Connie. And I think maybe, have you ever talked to her? Maybe you have.
I don't know. Maybe.
Anyway, her son-in-law and her daughter, they had a baby. And so she went down to be the grandma and help out. And she wasn't feeling good. And so she tested herself using the body code and found that she had a little problem with mold. And so, okay, she thought that was kind of interesting and didn't know. The house that they were in seemed to be really nice and pretty new and so on. So she thought that was kind of interesting. And she did notice that when she was outside the house, she felt better. When she'd come back into the house, she'd lose her energy and she'd start coughing. So anyway, about a week into this, all of a sudden, this newborn baby won't eat anymore, and it's very lethargic, something wrong with it. Took her to the hospital, and the baby was dying. And they didn't know why, but the baby was shutting down. And yeah. And so she tested, and we helped her, and we got the baby had mold. That was the problem. The baby had mold. And so anyway, they asked if she and her daughter, her she and her daughter, they pled with these doctors, please, will you please test the baby for mold? And I think it was maybe too outside their box. They said they couldn't test for that there. And anyway, they finally got the baby out of the hospital and took him to someone that could test him for mold. And the levels of mold in this baby's body were through the roof. Well, then they found out they had some mold remediation people come to their house. And it's a nice home. You wouldn't think there's mold anywhere. But they found the worst mold infestation in that house that they had seen in their entire career.
Wow.
30 years, I think it was, of doing mold remediation. This was the worst. I mean, they were in there with hazmat suits and the whole thing. The family immediately had to get out of there. And now they're in a new home and everything is fine. And the baby recovered and is fine. But, think about that. They were able to do the things that really needed to be done to help the baby to get over the mold. And if they hadn't had the body code, Connie says that that grandson of hers probably wouldn't have made it. And the death would have been labeled as failure to thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's just amazing when you talk about these things and how the body speaking to us subconsciously, we can ask these questions and it guides us and directs us. So if you want to get that, because I want to really ask you about, because we just did the body code and we've spoken about the body codes, the emotion code. I'm sorry, we just did the emotion code in January in Florida, and you and I have talked about the heart wall, the body code, the emotion code. But how did the body code? How is it different? I mean, I know that you have the chart for the body code. Do you ask questions and then, because I had mentioned to you that I don't trust myself with muscle testing or the finger testing, but that I just recently have a string that has like a little a stone at the end of it, and I'm able to feel more comfortable asking me, is this good for my body? Yes or no? Show me yes, show me no. And I feel now that I'm not controlling the outcome. So how is the body code and the motion code different?
Well, let me show you here really quickly. So in the, if we go back to the app for a second, the emotion code contains all of the different kinds of imbalances that can happen to us. The emotion code is just this one area. It's just trapped emotions and the heart wall.
Got it.
And so, but the reason why I wrote the emotion code book first and published it before the body code, before that came out, was because so much of our trouble is due to emotional baggage. 90% of our symptoms, 80 to 90% of our symptoms are caused by trapped emotions. And so if you just take care of those, a lot of things are going to go away. But then to really have totally optimal health, or to really recover your health completely if you've lost it, you can't just look at emotions. You've got to look at other things. I mean, are you deficient in something? Do you have something out of alignment? Do you have pathogens living in your body? Are you toxic? Do you have some kind of imbalances going on in the circuitry or the systems of the body? All of those things can be looked at. And so that's really what the body code is. The body code provides an interface, really. It's kind of like, if you have a newer car and you take it into a mechanic, he'll plug it into a computer, and the computer will tell him what's going on with the car. Much better than him just opening the hood and looking at the engine. The computer will tell him. And that's kind of how this is. But the beautiful thing about this is, you don't have to buy expensive equipment. Anybody can learn how to do this. It's actually really, really simple. And in fact, it's powerful enough that kids can do it. We were told a story about a little girl in Mexico, 5 years old, and her mom had the body code on her iPad. And so, of course, it runs on iPads and it runs on all kinds of devices. It looks like this on your phone. So you can have it in your phone, which is really amazing. And anyway, she would find them, she would just poke around on things just intuitively. And then she would get to the end of the line and she'd take it to her mom and she'd say, Mommy, and she'd say, Daddy has this.
Oh my
And
gosh.
and the mom would check, and sure enough, the little girl was usually right. So anyway,
I wouldn't give her my iPad. She would probably come up with a bunch of other stuff. Okay, so that is fascinating. It's fascinating. And I had mentioned to you that I'm feeling more and more comfortable with the emotion code and the body code. I didn't realize that the emotion code comes from the this whole body code. It's like a little section
yeah,
of it. I did not realize that. So where does it go? So it goes to energy and then emotional. Okay, there we
energy and
go.
emotional. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But
And so
there's
how
all
can
kinds
people
of
get
other things.
this? How can people get this app?
Well, the app is right now on the App Store. You just look for Discover Healing, and then it looks like this little symbol right here that you see.
Mm-hmm.
If I can blow that up a little bit, there we go. Looks like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you can download it, and you can play with it, and you're definitely going to want to have it when you come to the seminar that we're doing on the body code, and that's going to be, what is that?
July 23rd and 24th in
Yeah.
Cocoa Beach, Florida. We're going to learn this and more. So we were there at the emotion code. And now that was one day. Now this is 2 days. Can you share a little bit about the body code kind of like agenda and what you do? And if you want to take this off the screen
Yeah.
so that we can see you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Uh, yeah, well, what we do in the seminar is we walk you through how to use this system. This is a brand new breakthrough, really an incredible system and way that you can take care of your own health and stand alone and in a state of freedom and take charge of your own health, really. Because what we're teaching you to do with the body code is we're teaching you how to access that internal computer, that spirit within you that knows the answers to all of these questions and knows what's really going on with you and what you really need in order to be totally healthy.
Wow.
It's incredibly simple, but I mean, leave it up to the higher power to have a better idea about how things can be done, right?
That it's interesting. I'm curious as to how you kind of like knew that these are the centers, and it's wonderful how when I really truly believe that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and vice versa, and that the Holy Spirit gives us exactly what we need at the moment we need it. It's in Luke 12:12. It's in Luke 12:12. And I just was reading Luke not too long ago, and I'm like, oh, there it is. I didn't make this up. But I've always known that we are given what we need when we need it. And I'm so glad that the Holy Spirit spoke to you and you were able to get all of this out of your experiences with your patients, your experiences in your own life, and with your family as well. So this is wonderful. This is wonderful. So before we start going into, because I would love to learn about what's going on with me. I had mentioned to you, well, we know a little bit what's going on, but before we do that, let me just go and remind people where they can go to if you want to learn more about the body code workshop. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com. And while you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, or you can go to Discover Healing, it doesn't matter. But for now, let's pretend that you're going to whenyouneedafriend.com. Make sure you subscribe while you're there, like and follow me on all social media, especially BitChute and Odyssey, which many of our classes are going just straight there because they're not allowed on YouTube or Facebook. And so while you're there, check out my sponsors and my Shop Now bag. And we also have now a lot of different workshops that we're doing. So you can go down the workshop, and when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, you will find that pop up. But we have so many other things. We're starting a raw vegan challenge. We're doing so many other things that are going to help us spirit, mind, and body. And I really do believe that this does help with the spirit and the mind, because not only when you heal the spirit and the mind, the body fixes itself so easily. But when you're just focused on the body, it takes forever to figure it out. It's the spirit and the mind that just allows the whole body to relax and allows it to do. So please go to whenyouneedafriend.com, check out the different Shop Now bags and the the different discounts that we have there. And last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. You can donate $1 or $1,000 a month. We need everything we possibly can to continue to grow the classroom. And so today we have Dr. Bradley Nelson of Discover Healing. You can go to discoverhealing.com to learn more. Of course, the workshop is being promoted there as well. And you can go to either Dr. Brad's website or mine and search and discover if this is for you. It's this 2-day workshop. It's going to be live in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and we're going to have a fun time, aren't we, Dr. Brad?
It's going to be amazing. I mean, I've taught this seminar all over the world. I remember once I did, the longest one I ever did was like 5 days in
Wow.
Switzerland. I got a 10-minute long standing ovation at the end of it, which is a long time, but probably because it went so long. But it was great. It was amazing. Lots of miraculous things happened. So let's tune into you, and we can give
Yes.
everybody an idea how this works. Okay.
Yes.
So first of all, Arthur C. Clarke said something really powerful. He was the great science fiction writer, and he said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Think about it. I mean, if you were to take a flashlight out into the, into the forest somewhere, in the jungle somewhere, and meet up with some tribe that's never seen a flashlight, they're going to think that's magic. Well, we know how it really works. All of the work that I do, it's all based on quantum physics. People who are into quantum mechanics or physicists themselves, they understand it immediately, exactly what we're doing. They totally get it. They understand how it works, and it all makes perfect sense to them. For the rest of us that are a little new to this kind of thing, it can seem kind of weird, like, well, how is Dr. Nelson working on Lillian at a distance? They're not even in the same state. Well, there are quantum principles of quantum physics that explain that. There's entanglement of energies, how they become entangled at a distance, and then changes can happen. Albert Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, right? Quantum physics, some of these things are really strange. Anyway, what I'm going to do here, first of all, before we start working on you, Lily, is I'm just going to take a moment, because this work has really come from up above. God is real. He lives. He's our Father. He cares about us. He loves us more than we can even imagine. And that's why we're all here, right? To learn how to love like He does, and so on. So I like to take just a moment and make that connection, because that opens up the channel so that we can get, we'll more likely receive those little whispers and intuitions and thoughts and things that we can use, okay? So give me just a moment here. All right, cool. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using a method of testing that we're going to be teaching you in this seminar. It's called the ring and ring method, okay? Now, the way that this works is when I'm asking questions, I'm directing those questions at Lillian's subconscious mind. Her subconscious mind immediately forms answers. And those answers are communicated to my subconscious mind, because our energies now are entangled at a distance. The human body has this amazing ability built right into it to set aside its own needs to act on behalf of someone else. And we call it working by proxy. And so I'm going to ask some questions here, and I'm going to exaggerate the motions here. My body will be strong if the answer coming from Lillian's subconscious mind is yes. My body will be slightly weaker if the answer coming from her subconscious mind is no. So the first thing that I want to know is, are we connected energetically? Yes or no? I get a yes. All right. So we're connected. So what do you want to? I'm not sure how much you want to tell everybody about what's going on.
Yeah, I've been very tired, and trying to figure out some balance in my life, because what would work before, which is vitamin C for asthma responses or allergic responses, wasn't doing its trick anymore. Plus, I was just extremely exhausted, and still with my very busy schedule. So again, the body speaks to us. And back in 2017, I had a pretty bad car accident. And back then I thought there was something wrong. but the doctor did not know, and I didn't know as much as I know today. And where it was leading me was to Epstein-Barr. So if you have a chickenpox or mononucleosis or shingles or cold sores or mouth sores, that's a way to know if there's a virus in your body. And it's in that virus that created the chickenpox, Epstein-Barr, it's all the same, or not Epstein-Barr, but mononucleosis is all the same virus, but the testing, doctors don't know how to test. And fortunately, I did some research and I was able to bring it to my doctor, and my doctor did the proper testing, and it proved that I had, because of the virus that I had at the beginning of the year that some people call COVID. I never got tested, but it could have been that they're saying that there's been research saying that could have reactivated that virus that created not shingles, but chickenpox when I was little, and mono. And so we did the testing and it confirmed it. But viruses come and go, and they go into dormancy, which is where it was all this time. But this last, it was really difficult on my body. And when you guys came to visit, I had mentioned to you that vitamin C is not working as much. I have to take this exorbitant amount of vitamin C before I see any relief. And so that can create problems too. And so that's where I'm at right now. And so they're changing some of my supplements. They changed me out of my supplements, and we're doing some things together. And I'm really looking at the balance in my life right now and all that I'm doing.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen here, and so you can see the body code and see what I'm looking at.
Okay.
And so here's how we use this. Now imagine that you're working on a friend of yours, or maybe a daughter or son or husband or wife or whatever, and they've got the same situation going on with Lily. What would you do? Well, here's how you do it. The subconscious mind, you have to understand, is a search engine, kind of like Google, okay? You ask questions, it will give you answers. So what I want to know is, and I'm addressing Lily's subconscious mind here.
Okay.
What is the single biggest imbalance going on in your body right now that we can release?
Okay.
That's contributing to this low energy state and everything else that's going on? Is it something on the right side of the chart? I get a no there. Okay, so that means her subconscious mind is taking us to something on the left side. Now, what it is, I don't have any idea, but I know that right now it's not any of these. Now, Epstein-Barr is over here, and you might think, well, we should go there first, but no, we allow the subconscious mind to guide us. So something on this side. So is it something in the energies area? It's not. Is it something in circuits or systems? Definitely very strong. So again, the rings tend to stay closed when the answer is yes, and they'll break open when the answer is no, because my body strength changes slightly. This is how we can tune in and get answers. So I'm going to click on this one. Something in this area. So is it something on the left side of the chart? No. So is it an organ in the body or a gland? Nope, it's something in the energy body. That's where your subconscious is taking us. Is it something on the left side? No. Is it a chakra of some kind? Nope, it's taking us into the meridians. Now, there are 12 main meridians and there's 8 extraordinary meridians. Well, we don't have to go through them all at, one at a time. Let's just ask, is it one of the main meridians here on the left side? No. So it's one of these extraordinary meridians. Which one is it? Well, I don't know. Is it one of these on the left side? Now that answer is coming from her subconscious mind, which knows all about her meridians and how they're doing, right? Who would know better than her subconscious mind? So is it the conception meridian? No. Is it the governing meridian? Yes. Okay, so that one's strong. So what we do then, because we got a hit on this one, we'll click it, and it gives us an explanation, okay? Tells us about the meridians in general. And then it tells us a little bit more about the governing meridian. So flows from the tailbone, runs upward along the spine, up and over the head, stops on the inside of the upper lip. And it stores energy and so on. It's all about circulation of blood, etc. So that's interesting. So now we know a little bit more about it. So let's go down here and we'll go to the next step is decoding. And it says you've already identified the imbalanced meridian. Continue to association. So I'm just going to write this down really quick. Governing meridian. There's something not right with it. It's not happy. Is there an associated imbalance is the next step here that needs to be decoded. Now, let me explain this. Imagine you're driving your car down the highway and your check engine light comes on. And you pull into a mechanic and the mechanic says, oh, we figured out what's wrong. Your car was out of oil. We added a bunch of oil, you're good to go. And you think, oh, well, all right. And then a week later, your check engine light comes on again, and you take it back to the same mechanic, and he says, oh, yeah, it was your engine was out of oil again. We put more oil in, you're good to go. Well, at that point, you're probably going to be thinking, wait a minute, this isn't really normal, right? Maybe there's something associated here. The symptom is your car is out of oil. Well, the symptom is the check engine light. The real problem was that your engine's out of oil, but deeper than that is maybe the hole in your crankcase because you ran over a curb last week, right? So under association, this is how we find the hole in the crankcase. We find something deeper, okay? So is there an associated imbalance that needs to be decoded? And the answer is yes. So your governing meridian is not happy. It is imbalanced for some reason. And the governing meridian stores energy, okay? It's an energy vessel. And so this can be one of the reasons why your energy level is low. So now we're going to go back out and find whatever is associated with this governing meridian being unhappy. What is it? Is it something on the right side of the chart? No. Is it something in the energies area? It is. So we're going to go here. And is it something on the left side of this chart? No. So is it an allergy or intolerance? Is it something emotional? It's definitely something emotional. Is it on the left side here? Yes. Is it a trapped emotion? It is. So we click here. Okay. So let's see. It's some kind of trapped emotion. Is it one of these on the left side of our chart? Yes. So is this a prenatal trapped emotion? In other words, one that you got in the womb, probably from your mom. I get a no on that. Is it a preconception trapped emotion? That's something that happened before you were conceived. No. So that means this is an inherited trapped emotion. Yeah, and that's a yes. So like it says here, in the same way that you can inherit your eye color from your father or the shape of your nose from your mother, you can also inherit trapped emotions from your biological parents received at the moment of conception. And these might go back generations. So this is an inherited trapped emotion. So let's see what this is. It's an inherited trapped emotion. Is the emotion listed here in the chart in column A? No. So that means it's in B. Is it in one of the odd rows? Yes. Is it in row 1 or 3 or 5? It's in row 5. So is it conflict or creative insecurity? Is it terror? Actually, this is an emotion of terror.
Really?
Yeah. And who'd you get this from? Did you get this from your father? No, this came from your mother. And who'd she get it from? Her mother, her father. She got it from her father. And how far back does this go? Does it go back 5 generations, 10? 15, 14, 13, goes back about 13 generations, or roughly back to about 1683 or so AD, if we figure like 26 years for a generation. So that's interesting, huh? Do we know anything else about that? We don't. But that energy is imbalancing that meridian. So what we'll do now is I'll just swipe on my governing meridian. This is how we clear these things. 10 swipes on that meridian, and let's ask, did we release that inherited trapped emotion from you? Yes. Did it also release from your mother? And did it also release from her father and from all those generations? It did. All right, cool. So now how do we find that? Well, we found that because we were looking for the underlying cause of this governing meridian imbalance, okay?
Wow.
Is your governing meridian happy now or balanced now? And I get a yes answer. So we corrected that one. So your subconscious mind took us to that, to both of those things, to the meridian, and then also to the underlying cause of it. So now let's ask the same kind of question again. Again, your subconscious mind is like a search engine. So let's ask, is there another underlying reason? What's the next biggest underlying imbalance that we can address that is interfering with your energy and causing all this trouble for you? And immediately I get a yes answer. There's something else. So what is this? Is it something on the left side of the chart? No. Is it a pathogen of some kind? No. Now you might think, oh, well, wait, what about the Epstein-Barr? Well, we just go wherever the subconscious mind wants to take us.
Just listen to my subconscious.
This is a misalignment. Okay, so we're going to go here. So all the tissues in the body, including the meridians and the chakras, they're all represented here because they can all misalign. Okay, so what is this? Is it something on the left side of this chart? No. Is it something in the skeleton? Yes. Is it something in the appendicular skeleton? No. So it's in the axial skeleton. So let's see what this is. Is it something on the left side of this chart? Yes. Is it something in the vertebral column? No. It's something in the skull. Okay, so is it something on the left side of this chart? Yes. Is it in the facial bones? Is it middle ear bone? Is it the ethmoid bone or the sphenoid? Okay, the sphenoid bone. Well, this is a very important bone here. It fits almost entirely inside the skull. It extends out on the surface just here and here. It's very important for the normal pumping mechanism of the cerebrospinal fluid that circulates into the ventricles of the brain and then goes down the spinal cord and bathes the spinal cord. And you want to keep that fluid moving, or it can become stagnant. And when things become stagnant, that's not good. And so this bone is not functioning right, not working correctly. So we've already identified the misaligned bone. Let's go to association and ask, is there an associated imbalance that we need to decode? Yes. Okay, so here we go. So once again, we're now going to find the hole that's in your crankcase, right? All right. Sphenoid bone. Okay. I'm just going to write this down really quick.
And people that go to this workshop will learn how to use this.
They're going to learn how to do this.
Yes,
exactly.
Nice.
Yep. You're going to learn how to do this so that you can finally fix your son's migraines, or you're going to help your friend who's been trying to get pregnant for the last 5 years. You can do a session with her or two with this, and suddenly she'll get pregnant. Typically, is the kind of thing we see. So, all right. So let's see. Sphenoid bone is out of balance. Is there a reason? Yes. Is the reason on the right side of the chart? No. So is it in the energies area? It is. Let's go here.
Wow.
And is it something on the right side, left side, post-traumatic, something post-traumatic? Is it on the left side here? Yes. Is it something physical? It's a physical trauma. Now, a physical trauma energy, how I discovered this was, there was a guy that came in to see me. He was 42 years old, and he'd been in a car accident 4 years before. And when he came in to see me, his neck pain was a 9. And he said, my neck, it feels like it happened yesterday. And he'd seen multiple different doctors, and it was the craziest thing. It wasn't going away. And so I thought that's kind of strange. And so before I worked on him, I just said this silent prayer, and I said, Father in heaven, if there's something I should know about this, help me to understand, because this seems kind of strange. And I got this answer. This answer flowed in. And the answer was that in the accident that he had, the energy, when you have an accident, when you receive some kind of a blow, there's energy in that blow. And usually that energy will just kind of go through you and dissipate. But in this case, that energy didn't go through him and didn't dissipate. It stayed right inside of his body, like a little ball of energy that was affecting his neck. And I released that physical trauma energy from him right then, which just took seconds. And the pain level immediately went from a 9 to a 2, just boom. And it hadn't felt that good since the accident happened. So there's a physical trauma, okay? And let's see what this is. This energy, do we need to identify more about this? Yes. So let's figure out when this happened. Well, you said
I'm a mess.
Well, these are the real deep things. See?
Yeah, this is great because I had that car accident, really, 2017. So.
Well, let's ask if that's what created this, and the answer is yes.
Okay.
So, so now let's ask: do we need to know anything else about this? We don't really. Is there an associated imbalance we need to decode? Not really, and that's typical with these. So, but just for fun here, let's ask, where is this? Is this lodged? Well, actually, this is lodged in your sphenoid bone because that's what's being misaligned by it. Is that true? Yeah. Okay. So, 2017. There we go. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and release this energy now. Here we go.
Okay, I'm ready for that.
2, 3. So releasing stuff like this is super easy. I mean, typically you just swipe a few times. And did we release that? We did. Lily, I want you, can you stand up and walk around just a tiny bit?
I can. I'll walk away though. I'll walk from.
Well, it's okay. Just stay where you are.
Okay.
It's fine. Just maybe do some breathing and move your head around a little bit. Move your neck around a little bit. See how that feels compared to how it was feeling before.
Yeah, feels good.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what we can do is we can come back to the body code, and it works the same way every time. Let's ask: is there another underlying reason why? What we want is the single biggest underlying reason that we can release that's interfering with your energy and weakening you and everything else. There's something else. There's something else. Let's see what this is. Is it something on the left side of the chart? It is. Is it in energies area? No. Is it in circuits or systems? No. So it's some kind of a toxin. Let's click there. So is it something on the left side of this chart? No. So is it some kind of a heavy metal, some sort of an excess? So what shows up here is the next one is electromagnetic energy, which of course this shows up for people all the time because it's, we're all just kind of being blasted constantly with stuff. Is it something on the left side? Is it magnetic field or radio frequency? So it's a radio frequency energy. So this is pretty common. It's the most common one for me that shows up probably from cell phones, smart meters, Wi-Fi. It's from Wi-Fi. So it's Wi-Fi energy. So what you can do is you can put, if you haven't already, you can put your Wi-Fi device on a timer so that at night when you're asleep, it's turned off, and that can help.
My problem is we live in a condo. So even if we turn off ours, our next door neighbor might still have theirs on. And our neighbor is from another place. So they could just come 4 months out of the year, 3 months out of the year. So they're about to leave. So the Wi-Fi, and it was Dr. Lee Cowden. I don't know if we've talked, if you know Dr. Lee Cowden.
I know Lee, absolutely.
Yeah. So he had mentioned getting a shield around my bed, and we're considering doing that. So I'm seriously thinking about that. It's interesting, the Wi-Fi that this would come to that, because ever since we moved to a condo, I noticed that perhaps maybe that's a little bit stronger for my body, too strong for my body. Who knows? But this is good. It's good to know.
Yeah. So that's an energy now that has kind of congregated and gotten into your body. So let's ask here, do we know any more details? Is there anything associated? So what we're going to do is we're going to swipe here. Under intention, it gives you the directions on exactly what to do. See? So I'm going to swipe 3 times, which is with my hand over the governing meridian, holding an intention to release the energy of this EMF from your body, while at the same time directing your body to repair any damage. Okay. And when the people, when they leave, ask them if they'll, turn off the Wi-Fi. They don't need it on.
Yeah, they don't. They don't.
For 3 months while they're away.
Yes, absolutely. Good. Yeah. So I'll ask them if I have the opportunity to ask them. But we're really seriously thinking about putting a little tent over our bed that will protect from Wi-Fi and all the crap that's in the air now. Yeah.
I would say that's probably a really good idea. So let's ask your subconscious mind, is there another major imbalance? There's something else we can work on today with you. Right now, your body's saying, no, those were kind of the big things. That sphenoid bone, see, that weakens the whole entire mechanism. That's such an important bone. And then that governing meridian, those 2 things.
Is that something that I can get an adjustment with? Because as you know, my my chiropractor is a upper cervical chiropractor. Is that something she could work on
Well, it's
to?
already done.
It's already done. Okay.
Because you see, what was imbalancing that bone was that let's see, what was it exactly? It was I guess it was the Wi-Fi energy was imbalancing it.
Oh,
So we treated the Wi-Fi energy, and is your sphenoid bone happy now? It is. So the sphenoid bone is balanced now. But yeah, getting some protection from the Wi-Fi sooner rather than later is probably a good idea.
okay, done.
Yeah.
That's
Yep. So,
great.
yep,
So-
that's it.
And it's so good. This is really good. This is great information. And so I want to encourage all of you to click onto whenyouneedafriend.com, and then the pop-up for Dr. Bradley Nelson. The body code is going to be July 23rd and 24th. It's going to be live in Cocoa Beach, Florida. So we get to meet like-minded people that want to grow along with us and learn more about the process. So I'm so grateful to you, Dr. Brad, for you taking the time to share. Do you want to take this off so that we can see you again? Because
Yeah,
who doesn't want to look at you?
sure.
So yeah, so I am really excited. So I want to encourage you guys to either go to discoverhealing.com or also whenyouneedafriend.com and register before early registration is done. So early registration is now. It's a 1 day. We also have a VIP dinner that we're going to have. It's a meet and greet with Dr. Bradley Nelson and his team. And of course, Jean, his beautiful wife, will be there as well. And we're going to get to know and have photo op opportunities. And if you've never gone to an emotion code workshop, or if you've never gone to a body code workshop, now's the time to do it. You know, this is a beautiful experience. It's an enjoyable opportunity for you, again, to meet like-mindedness and to practice this with yourself. Are they going to have time to practice with others as well, or just on
Oh yeah,
themselves?
absolutely. Yep, you're gonna be able to work on yourself. You're gonna be able to work on other people. You'll get worked on from other people, no doubt. So yep, you're gonna have time to practice.
This is wonderful. I'm looking forward to seeing how I feel at this point. You know, and I thought it was interesting that I carry a lot of trauma from my ancestors, and I want to get rid of all of it. Every time you come on, there's something new. I just want to get rid of all of it. Is there like a body code catch all, get rid of all the trauma from my ancestry button where we can just get rid of it all?
Well, no, it's kind of a process.
Dang.
Yeah, but it's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
else are you gonna go?
Well, yeah. Well, they can go somewhere else. I don't need their, you know, it's interesting because we all work hard to become aware of our lives and our lifestyles and what's going on in our life, and kind of release and do all that. But sometimes there are things in our body we don't know. And that's what I like about the emotion code and the body code. And again, you can get your own book of the body code. I think I've got my autographed copy. Yes, that was the first thing I did when
There
we
you
went
go.
to the emotion code. I said, okay, if you have your own copy, bring it. And if not, you can buy it there. And
Sure.
is there anything else people should expect by attending the workshop?
Well, this workshop is, I think that it really does have the potential to change your life. It's changed many other people's lives all over the world. It's time for us to wake up and realize who we really are, what we're really capable of, what our bodies are really made of. And, it's time for us to take an independent stand for ourselves, to become independent, to take control of our own health. And the problem that the world is in right now, I think, is that has been brought about because of people basically just giving up the responsibility for their health to the medical profession, and big pharma. And now they've taken it to the absurd extreme that we see going on in the world now, which is kind of scary. bizarre.
It is. It really is scary. And we need to figure out all these different tools because eventually there may not be any doctors available, with everything that's happening in the world. And we need to become our own MD, our own medical detective. And what a great tool to have with Dr. Bradley Nelson, whether it's the emotion code or the body code. I want to encourage you again to go to the websites at whenyouneedafriend.com or Discover Healing. And for at whenyouneedafriend.com, the pop-up for Dr. Brad's workshop, the body code is there. And you could either come as general admission for a 2-day workshop, or you can do the general admission plus the VIP. The VIP get front row seating, or the closest to the front, that'll be reserved seating. Let me just put it that way. And then we also have lunch, and we have at the event at the end of the Saturday, at the end of the Saturday day. And then of course, Saturday and Sunday, it's from 9 to 5 or 9 to 5:30, both days.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes, yes. And so I want to encourage all of you to go, and I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much for doing the body code on me and helping me see how to utilize this tool. And all of you, where can they get the app?
They can go on the App Store. They can go to our website, Discover Healing, and get it. Or they can go to Google Play or the Apple App Store. Right now, it's listed under the Discover Healing app. We're going to be changing the name of it, I think, pretty soon to just the body code. But just look for Discover Healing. You'll find it.
Very good. And everybody that goes to this event will have discounts if you decide you want to become a practitioner anywhere around the world. So I want to encourage you all to take your life back, take the knowledge that was given to us. That, when I think of Jesus breathing into the disciples of his the nostrils of his disciples, saying, "You will do this and more." I always say, "What's the this and what's the more?" And look at how much our body can tell us without us even knowing. So thank you so much for tapping into that and helping us tap into our subconscious so that we can respond to what our body needs. So thank you.
Thank you, Lily. I'm excited to do this event. We'll see all of you there. Don't miss it.
Absolutely. Pack your bags. You're coming to Florida. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Bradley Nelson wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.